Lurking in the background for almost all college students is a deep, dark reality that will affect their lives long after they have taken their last final or stayed in their last dorm room. Debt.
Student debt in the US is now bigger than debt from credit cards and auto loans, and is second only to mortgages.
You take a look at the way college costs are rising, and there's no reason for it. They are letting them go up. And the problem is the students are getting crushed.
There is over $1.2 trillion of outstanding student loan debt.
The debt associated with earning a college degree is a harsh fact of life for many students and their families. With over 20 million students enrolled in higher education, and the average debt of a graduating student eclipsing $26,000, total national student debt has risen to nearly $1.3 trillion.
Debt causes a myriad of problems. It causes marital breakdown or relationship breakdown. Stress levels increase immensely. People have a hard time sleeping, they often say. They're impacted by alcohol and drug issues because of their stress levels. Work obviously is going to have a huge fallout from this.
Debt has more than just economic ramifications for students and their families. In a recent study, Dr. John Gathergood found that those who struggle to pay off their debts and loans are more than twice as likely to experience a host of mental health problems, including depression and severe anxiety. Post-graduation life has not always been this way for college students. In 1978, it was possible for a minimum wage worker to earn the cost of a year's college tuition over the course of a summer. Today, that same worker would have to work full-time for an entire year, if not more, to pay for their year-long education. This difference is due to the fact that tuition has risen over 440% in the last quarter century, which is 4 times faster than inflation within this same era. With such enormous ramifications on the future of the nation, it is apparent why the issue of college debt would become one of national political importance. Enter Bernie Sanders, whose message of free tuition at public colleges and universities, as well as easier access to financial aid, propelled him to the national spotlight during the 2016 Democratic presidential primary. In Senator Sanders' College for All Act, the federal government would provide 67% of the $70 billion necessary to eliminate tuition costs from public universities, with state governments being responsible for the remainder. He also proposed a plan to pay for this new expense through a tax on Wall Street speculation.
Where's the money going to come from?
A tax on Wall Street speculation, and that's exactly where it should
Talk about that. What does that mean, a tax on Wall Street speculation?
What it means is right now you have people who are becoming phenomenally wealthy by speculating in derivatives and every other type of esoteric instrument that they can. People are getting very rich on Wall Street. What we're going to impose is what exists in dozens of countries around the world, a very modest tax on the transference of large amounts of stock.
What does that mean, a very modest? Is that going to pay for tuition-free education?
More than that. This is a very effective and progressive way to raise money. The estimate is it could bring in as much as $300 billion a year.
This message clearly resonated with numerous Americans, as is evident through his nearly 7 million individual contributions, as well as his ability to attain unexpectedly high nationwide popularity in his grassroots political movement. However, even Senator Sanders acknowledged that his views on college education would not receive anything close to bipartisan support.
You think Republicans are going to go along with this?
No, of course they're not.
Well, then if they're not going to go along with it, it's not going to become the law.
No. Well, I don't think it's going to be passed tomorrow. But I think what we have to do is the American people will go along with it.
There's no such thing as free education, because you know that ultimately somebody else is going to be paying for that education.
Resistance to his proposal is primarily rooted in the belief that the economy is incapable to support such an act. Republican politicians are almost uniformly against raising taxes, and they would certainly be against the tax raise necessary to accumulate $70 billion to pay for free tuition. Other opponents to the College for All Act argue that because of the 10th Amendment, education should remain a state issue without federal government intervention. Rather than looking for new ways to help students pay for their education, Republicans focus on using alternative methods to lower the nationwide student debt. According to the Republican platform, the party encourages new systems of learning to compete with traditional four-year colleges, such as expanded community colleges and technical institutions, private training schools, online universities, lifelong learning, and work-based learning in the private sector. By their viewpoint, creating competition against the four-year colleges will drive down costs, as demands will be lower. In its current state, demands are at an all-time high, with raising college tuition costs having no effect on the number of students attending college. Now, it is impossible to ascertain which solution is the correct one without any implementation, as both sides can create models and predictions that support their side of the issue. All that is known for certain is that something must be done about the current debt epidemic before the entire higher education system, and perhaps even the entire economy, collapses beyond repair.